All right.
All right, so we're joined by my friends, Katrena Thompson down on Highway 51 in Ridgeland at the Citizens Bank. We are in the finance career cluster, and we got a room full here with us at Velma Jackson. And we're recording this for our friends at Rosa Scott, Madison Central, Germantown, Ridgeland High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you so much. It's always insightful to hear about the banking industry and careers in finance and how banks really serve our community in so many ways, in ways that these young people probably did not know. So
That's
thank
right.
you always for taking some time for us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I love it. I guess I just want to start off by just saying a little bit about myself. My name is Katrena Thompson. As he said, I am the deposit banking officer for the Citizens Bank in Ridgeland on Highway 51. I'm married to my husband, Monty. Let's see, 27 years. It'll be 27 years. Always have to think about that. We have 3 kids and a dog mom, and it's all great. I'm from Humble, which is outside of Houston, Texas. Um, so I'm pretty sure there's lots of Texan fans out there, lots of Rockets fans. If not, then become one. We love your business. Anyhow, but we moved to Brandon, Mississippi in 2006, and I attended Fisk University in Nashville. So that's just a little bit about me. Um, just different things and talking about your dream job. At the time, I never thought banking was the path that I would end up in, but it just so happened that I became a teller. I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to be a big time lawyer. That was my goal. That was what I thought. And then different things happened, and then I pivot, and I've been here ever since. But just some things just to consider about your dream job. What are your interests? What excites you? What are you good at? I was always good with numbers in the basic way. Not that I'm doing, high advanced math. No, but just in the basic way where I really didn't need that calculator. Now I guess we're so dependent on it. And but I was really kind of good with just the basic math. And but those are just some of the things just to consider, and I'm pretty sure you teach that all the time. What are your interests? Do what you love to do. And I love talking to people. I love customer service. I enjoyed all of those things. But in the banking industry, I just wanted to start off with just some possible employer benefits. It's so important to have health insurance. To me, I talk about that with my kids all the time. I'm a person that I would consider myself overinsured. I mean, I just always think about,
Yep.
what if this happens? What if that happens? What if I always think about that? But health, dental, and vision, as you can see, it's very important. Most banks, if not all, either will offer it at a very discounted rate, or it could possibly be free, but you pay nothing for health insurance. It's a benefit. Flexible spending accounts, if that's something that you use, tax-free money set aside by an employee, often used for out-of-pocket medical expenses, like to pay for if you don't have, what is it? It covers prescriptions or your co-pays, different things, medicines, in which as you get older, and I'm in that group, you might get more medicines you have to cover and pay for. Retirement accounts, which is something that I think is so important because we're not going to work forever. At least that's not the goal for some. Some it might be. But to have a 401k or whatever that version that would be similar to that is very important. And that is something that most banks offer.
Yeah, and
And
I
like,
would say on top of that, with retirement, your grandparents, my grandparents, they were able to depend on the Social Security.
yes,
It's going to change, especially for people in high school now, and you can start saving at retirement right now.
that's
Or
right.
retirement right now, and these companies that offer a 401k and will match up to a certain amount, you're absolutely outside of your mind if you don't
That's
put
right.
the maximum that a company will match, because retirement is not an age; it's an amount of money. So if you
That's
don't have
right.
anything saved, it doesn't matter how long you work. You can't depend on Social Security like the generations before us did.
Correct. That's right. And that's why 401k or whatever the different plans and different investment products is so important. And most of your careers offer that. A lot of people may not want to take advantage of that, but I think that that's something that's great. You see lots of different algorithms out there. Oh, if you save $100 starting at the age of 18, and by the time you get to 65, you would be a millionaire. Just say, or whatever that number is. I'm pretty sure it changes according to interest rates and different things like that. But just having that mindset of saving. But that's a different story. Life insurance is something that I just think is so important. Most people might not consider it. Some people might get it and not have enough. But it's a great safety net, and it's something that I know my bank provides that service for us, and it's something that is a benefit to have. And it's something that's important. I have seen where just a lot of people are just underinsured or don't have life insurance because we think we're going to live forever, and we don't. And we're leaving loved ones behind to have to pay for all of that. But those are some of the possible employer benefits of just working at any job, but in specific at the bank. I also put in there a copy of a paycheck for those who may not understand. I'm pretty sure you cover that, but just so you can look over and see all the taxes and different things that come out when you're considering your job or your career path. Just remember, taxes have to come out of that money. In addition to whatever.
We haven't really talked about that in this class. I'll talk about more of that in the personal finance class, which I know you came to in the fall. But I think that's important as well, because you look at your pay rate. If you work in the state of Mississippi, there's 4 things you're paying, whether you want to or not. You're paying Social Security, you're paying federal tax, you're paying state tax, and you're paying Medicaid. And there's nothing you can do about that. I don't matter if you're 15 or if you're 115.
That's right.
Money every paycheck.
Yes, right. And I just think when just talking to my youngest daughter, it's just something to consider. I said, because whatever career you choose, you're going to have that tax that comes out, in addition to what other possible things that you want: health, life, dental, vision. All of that's going to come out of your check. And sometimes she's just shocked and surprised that she doesn't even have all of those things, just the taxes alone. But in banking, they're primarily on this level 4 different types of banking jobs at the minimum. One is a teller, universal banker, deposit banking officer, branch manager. Now, the deposit banking officer and branch manager, that's one and the same. That's the same. It's all the same responsibilities, except maybe loans. I don't do loans at this time. I've talked to customers about loans. I don't process them. I help navigate, but I don't do that part. A teller responsibility, they conduct appropriate teller transactions, including deposit and disbursements of cash, coins, and checks from checking and savings accounts. They accept loan payments. They answer basic customer service questions concerning interest rates, service charges, account histories, and such. They count and roll loose coins, which we kind of do that to a point, but now you have Coinstar, so that it primarily does that. We most definitely identify counterfeit currency. For some reason, I don't know why people think it's a good thing to do, but we identify it and we turn that into the Secret Service. And we have to balance every day. So balancing is just using, it's not even really using, it's having common sense of regular math, but you do have a computer to assist you in that effort. But counting and accuracy, customer service, all of that is teller responsibilities, which any position can do that job or should be able to do that job. I sometimes still will work as a teller if needed. The requirements for that is a high school diploma or a GED, be proficient in math skills, 6 months to 1 year experience as a teller, or if you worked at Sonic for 6 months, you could be a teller. If you worked at Taco Bell, you could be a teller because you're already counting money, you're talking to customers and delivering excellent customer service, I hope. Those are things that you're somewhat computer proficient because you would have learned that in high school. On Microsoft, preferably, not Google. Nothing wrong with Google, but everyone doesn't use it. And you would have had previous office work, been in an office environment where you know how to speak correctly and speak lower, speak louder, and just deliver excellent customer service, and more so previous cash handling experience.
Yeah, so, and I'm not to cut you off, but I think that's important to talk about right there because obviously before somebody turns 18, their options are limited on where they can legally work. But it's also important to take those jobs you can have seriously because one, it does give you that experience going to a job like in the bank where you would be able to have more responsibility, be able to have access to benefits. And before you came on, I was talking about working in the bank is a great set schedule. You pretty much are off at the same time every day. You're off on the weekends. And, if you're
That's
working
right.
at Taco Bell, that's not going to happen. Now,
No,
again, if you're working there when you're 15, 16 years old, that's fine. There's not as many places you can work, but it's important to take those jobs seriously because one, it gives you the work experience. It gives you that face-to-face customer experience. It gives you the cash handling experience. And then when they're here in school, they want to get so mad when we make them do the multiple. Hold on one second.
uh-oh. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Why is it? It says you're mute. Oh,
I'm sorry, I got buzzed by the office.
oh no, you're fine.
Hold on one second. All right, sorry about that. But what I was saying is, they get so mad at us because they're all watching you on a MacBook right now, and Apple's fine. But having the Microsoft and the Windows experience and having the multiple operating systems is going to be vital in any financial job, especially in a bank. Especially if they want to get on the IT side of banks, because I know there's a growing need for computer pros in banking with all the
Oh, yeah.
cybersecurity and all the things. So being able to have all those technology skills are so important. So that's what if somebody wants to get their foot in the door in banking to start as a teller, I think all that is very important to remember.
It is. It's very much so. I mean, I don't know of any really Google product that we use. Nothing against Google, but it's just important just to diversify, learn different things, and not just one thing. But it's important. Another for the universal banker, which is your customer service rep, it's the same title. They open accounts such as checking, savings, CDs. They answer any customer service questions that may arise. They identify the needs of new and existing customers and offer appropriate services currently available. So just in talking to a customer and trying to see what goods and services that we can offer that you might need. Oh, you mentioned this, we have this product that can help you. It's just talking to your customer. Assist in community awareness events to increase bank outreach and foster new business opportunities. Now, in this regard here, this might be where every once in a while you might do something on a Saturday. Every once in a while. For example, we're participating in the Madison Chamber of Commerce, the Rabbit Run. That's early in the morning. You probably were going to go anyway. Maybe you might have a little sister that's going to Easter egg hunt. You might have been there anyway.
Hold on one second. Hold on.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry about that. They came down here again, but
That's okay.
go ahead. On the Saturday, you were saying on Saturday you're probably going to go.
I mean, and it is back to the hours. It is 8:30 or 8:15 to 4:30 every Monday through Thursday, and on Fridays we stay until 5. I mean, you still have enough time to catch a game, go do whatever you want to do. Maybe not travel to the extent you do, Coach. I mean, you do a lot. I'm tired from just that. But every once in a while, you might have to do an event to represent the bank. And usually it's fun. And then a lot of the times I might do them and it's during banking hours.
Yeah.
So, but it's important to do. And you still perform teller duties as well as a universal banker. And for that position, it has the same, and I didn't put that, yeah, I did. You can have a bachelor's degree for that, or you can just have previous experience. So let's just say you started off as a teller and you worked as a teller for a year or two, and you're really great at your job, and your branch manager is watching and saying, wow, she really talks to the customer, she identifies issues, she's kind of already doing this job. I'm going to elevate her. It happens all of the time. Sales or customer service experience, knowing your customer, being able to talk. I mean, because there's going to be times where customers are going to challenge you and they'll say things. You just have to remain calm.
Yeah,
Working
let
knowledge.
me ask you about that because you talked about, you know, having the experience and moving up. And obviously every person has a different situation to where they're going to college, whether they're going to community college or they just start working. Let's say somebody starts as a teller, and while they're working as a teller full time, at night part time, they're going to community college to Holmes or Hines, and they're taking some accounting classes and some finance classes, and they get that certificate in accounting while they're working full time at the bank.
That's right.
That's something that can move someone up within a bank.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. And I will say that I don't know if we offer that, but I know some jobs will help pay for you to go to school, some places that you work. But yeah, definitely, if you're working during the day and you're going to school at night, and now you have that degree, that certificate that can help elevate you to a higher position or a different position that you're interested in, and you're already working for the company, so they already know your work ethic, your work style, they know how you deliver, and I constantly say it, excellent customer service. Yeah, you would definitely have your foot is more in the door than the person that doesn't even have a relationship with this company trying to get in. You're already in, you just can get elevated.
Yeah,
So,
and even if the company doesn't have the tuition assistance, the ACT scholarships could that are offered now, just get starting at 20 on the ACT, could
that's
pay
right.
could pay for that tuition while you're still working full time. So there are so many options in this field.
That's right. My son was able to take advantage of that. I can't remember. Now he graduated in 2019 and he did do Hines. But I can't remember what the minimum ACT was, but he met that minimum and he went there for free for 2 years. Yeah, for the first 2 years. So it's really great to have access to all of the knowledge of how to go to school, cheap or free if not possible, and how to network and work in the real world. So it's beneficial. So here it's just I wrote about working knowledge of retail banking practices, rules, and regulations. There's lots of rules out there, not that anyone's just going to throw you out there, but you'll learn them as you go. They're going to constantly remind you. I constantly remind and send emails all of the time about the rules and just, but that's in most jobs. I'm not going to say any job. You're learning as you go. And starting off as a teller, not saying that you should, but just starting off and you're learning as you go. Detailed understanding of banking services and products. There's just more than one type of checking account. There's more than one type of savings account. There's so much more. Proficient again in Microsoft Office Suite or any Microsoft products. It's beneficial. Being able to multitask and time management skills, those are so important. Time management skills, because if the bank, there's cutoff times, things have to be done by a certain time. And, I love to talk. I go out there and I talk all of the time. But I know, about this time I have to do this, and then at this time this has to be done. Oh, I have to call this person at this time. Just like today, I constantly, I have to do this at 11. Let me make sure I have this done. So being able to multitask and be, just be aware. And excellent communication skills. You have to be able to communicate. Those are the requirements, not just for the universal banker, but for the branch manager as well. So what questions, if any?
Yep. Well, I have a couple, and I know I've asked you about this before, but I didn't have it recorded. Let's talk about, you went to Fisk University, which is a prestigious HBCU in Nashville. And and we obviously have several HBCUs here in Mississippi and some out of state. But what do you think HBCU can offer that maybe a PWI cannot? And not, if kids want to go to PWI, that's great. Or they want to go to community college, that's great. But HBCUs really can offer something special that other schools cannot. So talk about your experience at Fisk.
I will say, now I am from Texas, and I could have gone to Prairie View, Texas Southern. I went out of the state and I went to Nashville. I went to, I will say the biggest difference to me is the class size. It's much smaller. It's more of a relationship and making sure that you understand what is being taught. Not that other schools don't really care. I'm just saying, I just didn't feel like I was number 400, student 436 in this English class. I was probably student number 5 in this English class. And they knew me by name, not by, oh, I've seen you before. I felt it was more of a community. I felt it was someone that could relate to me and I could relate to them on an intimate level. It was just, I'm trying to just think, it was just a more of an intimate setting.
Yeah.
And it felt like you were with someone that you knew, and they wanted to make sure that you understood the assignment. And that's what I felt when I was at Fisk. It was a family.
Yeah, and Fisk is a beautiful campus. It's a very historical campus, and it is what just a few thousand students of, I think maybe 2,000 if that. So it is very similar to Tougaloo. It's a small HBCU that really focuses on business and pre-law. So many great professionals come out of there. So a lot of, especially coming from a small school like Velma Jackson, our kids say, I want to go and go to the big school. And if you want to, that's great. But it's important to know what fits your learning style and your personality. But I also think it's important. One thing I always say is that historically Black doesn't mean exclusively Black.
No,
because Fisk, I know, has a huge international population. You would literally meet people from all over the world right there in Nashville.
That's right. I will say, when my oldest daughter went there and she graduated in 2019, it was just amazing to see the difference of how it looked student-wise when I was there to when she was there. And she had students not just from the Virgin Islands, not just friends from there, but the Netherlands. I can't remember any of their names right now, but it was just amazing just to see, like, wow, and I thought it was different and unique and it was cool.
Yeah.
And she was able to learn on a more intimate level. Oh, let me learn about your country. Let me learn about your customs and she loved it. She loved it. Now, she did graduate from Brandon, and yes, it's diverse there. Yeah. But it was just on a different level. So yeah, the face is different now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now a couple of things I did want to talk about before I get to the students' questions is, one, especially in the rural areas of Mississippi, you have a lot of the whole thing about, I don't trust the banks, and we always talk about this. I use Cash App too. It has its place, but just having a Cash App card and having that as your primary financial source is very foolish. So talk a little bit about how the difference between using these peer-to-peer programs and actually using an actual bank.
Cash App and Chime, they're great for maybe your second or third level of banking. Your primary level of banking should be done with a bank. Now, I understand that most banks are not in every city, every town, and I understand that. But you do have the ability to still have the experience of banking with a large bank through online banking, through mobile services, and different things like that. You can do online deposits for your checks. So it still gives you the ability to access your bigger banks, even though they're not just down the street or next to the McDonald's or Taco Bell. In comparison to Chime and Cash App, do I use Cash App? Very seldom. I'm not a big Cash App fan. I have to always re-download the app when someone wants to use it. I had to do that the other day. Most of the time, I don't feel that they're as secure as banking with a traditional bank.
Absolutely.
Some of the products may not be FDIC insured. Now, sometimes they'll say that on the bottom, but you need to read that fine print, because if all of your money, and I don't feel that all of your money should be on your Cash App card, I just don't. Your money should be in a traditional bank. But if all of your money is on that Cash App card and it's stolen, someone is compromised, I hear too many stories of people having challenging times just trying to get their money back because of that. And it just, your money should be in a more traditional bank, and use Cash App and Chime as a second and third choice of banking. Because at some point you're going to want to have a loan. I don't know if you can go to a Cash App store and build a relationship with someone and take out a loan.
That's a great point.
You can do that at a bank. Even if you're only an online user, you're still building a relationship. They're able to access that information and see that. So I know it's cool and it's great, but it's not cool and great when your money is gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to use to pay your friends and things like that, and but to have that as your primary financial source. And like you said, I have so many of these young people want to be business owners, and you're going to need a relationship with some type of bank in order to get that small business loan in the state of Mississippi. And if you don't have that, it's going to be a lot tougher. But I do have some questions from the students. I'll get to as many of these as I can, and these are all ninth graders. This person is Takiria Watts, and she asks, "What's the most challenging part of working in a bank?"
I will say, watching the news, and then when you see different things happen on the news, and then you're just looking to see, making sure that it doesn't happen where you work. So I guess it might be the security issue. That's the most challenging, because we do make eye contact with everyone that walks in here. We speak to everyone that walks in here. And I notice everyone that's walking, driving, riding a bicycle down 51 is just paying attention to your surroundings. That would be the most challenging to me. It's making sure we're not a victim of something.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's something you always have to be aware of. But y'all are obviously trained in that. Yeah. So, and honestly, anywhere where there's money being handled and people know there's money being handled, there's always a risk, even in a great area like Ridgeland. So, unfortunately, that would be. But it's even like here at the school. We're trained on the worst thing that could possibly happen. So, unfortunately,
that's right.
That's the world we live in. But it is something you have to be prepared for. This is Alexis Bailey. She's one of our cheerleaders here, and she asked, "How did you build your communication skills?"
Well, I will admit, when I was in high school, I did not I did not talk a lot. I just did not. I took journalism in the 9th grade because I thought maybe that's something I want to do. And I would write, and I enjoyed that. And I was the editor-in-chief of our school newspaper. I was the managing editor of our yearbook. And just having to interview, and your teacher making you interview the coach, and you're interviewing a player, and you're just constantly talking. And then when I would get lost with asking questions, I would always just remember who, what, when, where, how, why, what. Always just, let me just ask a question. Did I do a who? Then let me do a what. And just constantly just listening to your news anchors on television. I used to love that stuff. Turning the television off and reading closed captions, I love that stuff. But just figuring out people and just asking questions about themselves is entertainment. It's just, and that's how you learn. People want to be heard, and I love to hear people's stories.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, and it's amazing. A lot of times you can help somebody just by listening to them for just a few seconds. Because in any field, especially in banking, you have to be the expert.
That's right.
Somebody may have a question they may think is really hard, but if you have done your research and listened to them, you can help them in a matter of seconds a lot of times.
That's right.
So being able to listen as well as articulate in layman's terms what you're trying to explain is so important. And that's a great segue to this question. This is Jordan Smith. He's one of our basketball players here. And he asked, "How did it feel when you first got into the field and you had to deal with people of all races?"
Well, the very first bank that I worked at was in my little community, and I learned a lot at that bank. I learned a lot. I learned that some people that might look like they fit a type, was not that type at all. And I would say his name, but I'm not. But he taught, I love him. He was the best example that opened my eyes, not just because you look a certain way means that you are, but just in learning and then I guess talking to my parents, you just learn how to navigate through those processes and remaining calm at all times. It's remaining calm. If is this reaction going to allow me to keep my job? Is this reaction going to allow me not to keep my job? And I would want to keep my job. I'm going to keep my dignity at the same time, but I wanted to keep my job. So it's a learning process.
Yeah, and it's amazing how marketable you can be if any type of customer can deal with you, no matter their age, their socioeconomic status, their race, any of that. It is managers of any type in any field, especially in banking, any type of customer facing job is going to want a person that can deal with any single person that walks through that door.
That's right. And I can deal with anybody. I don't care, if you're the most important customer, if you're the least important customer, you have the most or not. We're going to deliver excellent customer service to everybody every day.
Yeah.
And we're going to treat everyone's problem.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't have a problem.
Yeah. This is a good question. This is Booker Carter, and he asked, what are the different types of accounts that are offered in banks?
Checking. There's different types of checking accounts. It could just be your very basic ones. It could be there could be checking accounts for people that may have messed up in the past. And it's like a second chance checking accounts that earn interest. There's basic savings. There's savings accounts that when you swipe your debit card, it'll round it up and put the money into your savings to help you save. And then there's different tiers of accounts that the more you have, the more interest you'll earn. Those are just checking and savings. Then you have CDs, different IRAs. There's lots of different products out there. And just having that relationship with a banker, whether it's a teller, a universal banker, or a branch manager, will help you navigate through that process as your wealth grows or as your needs changes or improve, as you get married, as you have a baby, different things. There's accounts for when you have a baby, and the bank gives you money for that. So there's lots of different things.
Yeah, and if you're going to open a business, you're going to need a separate business account.
That's right.
Yeah, especially, because again, so many of these kids say, I want to own my own business. Even if you're just a part-time business owner, you're going to need a separate account for that. That's just not, it's not just for organizational purpose. The IRS is going to make you do that. So you have to be able to do that.
That's right. That's right. Having a business account that's separate from your personal is important, and running it separately, that's important as well.
This is Jaden Thompson. And he asked, what are the different ways you can operate your account?
You can, I'm not sure if you're saying like coming inside to the bank, you can do that. You can drop off in our night drop. If you're on your way out, you can drop off a deposit. You can do it that way. We have an ITM where there's a virtual teller there from 7 to, I think it's 7:30 to 5:30, and you can cash a check there. You can make a deposit. You can do a withdrawal. You can do that, as well as your online banking, where you can check your account activity, or if you want to do mobile deposit, you can do it that way. Those different things that can help if you live in an area where there may not be a local bank. You might come to Madison, you might come to Ridgeland or Jackson or Madison, the city, and you might work, and you can just drive through and do those things on your way to work or on your way home.
Absolutely. Now we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much. This is such great information always about all the software, but with it being Black History Month here at the end of it, I think it's important. We there's a need for more Black financial professionals. And I know it hasn't always been, it hasn't always been a lot of Black females and a lot of Black males in the banking industry. I know that trend has been changing the last few years, but there's still a need for them. So why should these kids I have now really consider getting into banking and getting into other financial fields because of how much they are needed?
Because it's important I have found when someone looks like you, I come across that all of the time. It's a sense of trust. That's one. But I think it's important because the world is changing and it should look like the world.
Yep.
If that makes sense. It's just good to have someone just be able to see, oh, this is something that I can do. I never thought that I could do this. And luckily enough, they entrusted me with this responsibility, and I appreciate that. But as far as for the students, the sky's the limit. Pursue your dreams. Find different things that you can pivot and do if need be, and keep building up skills that are transferable to other jobs.
Absolutely.
So it's important.
Yeah, and that all starts now. You know, even if you're working at McDonald's, you know,
That's right.
you can build that now, and that can lead to a great career. So again,
That's right.
thank you so much, Katrena Thompson, the
You're
Citizens
welcome.
Bank down on Highway 51 in Ridgeland.
That's right.
You guys are right. You're right there across from the McDonald's. So make sure, you know, if you want to
That's
open,
right.
come see her.
That's right. Well, thank you so much again.
All right. Talk to you soon, my friend.
Oh,
As always,
bye-bye.
thank you. See you.